Good afternoon, everyone. It's Cynthia with your Massachusetts Cannabis Quick Check-in. So this month, July 9th, we're going to have this Cannabis Control Commission going over their regular monthly meeting. And this time, their meeting is packed. They already posted online the agenda for the meeting. And I know a lot of folks don't have the 4 hours during the middle of the day to commit to watching these meetings, and sometimes they get really dry and boring and monotonous as they go through the different recommendations. So we wanted to take the opportunity at Mass Mother Mary, give you insight as to what's happening, what are some key things to be paying attention to, and just keep a pulse on how regulations are rolling out here in Massachusetts. So for July 9th, the agenda includes the regular call to order, and they'll be going over the minutes from April and I believe possibly May minutes. Then they also are going to be having some enforcement actions, which you don't see in every meeting. Enforcement actions are basically when there are issues that arose with a specific establishment and the CCC had to intervene with an investigative team. In this case, we have three garden remedies, Cripes or Cripsies, and the third one being Healthy Pharms, and their enforcement actions center around the use of pesticides. Pesticides is something that we definitely want to be paying attention to. We're still trying to address issues around regulations and us just getting into the market on the legal side, on the business side of things. But when we think about consumers and the safety of all consumers and their access to quality bud, we want to make sure that we're doing everything to ensure that we're putting out the best quality for folks who are out there paying top dollar. Speaking of top dollar, in this meeting, they're going to be going over a report that the CCC commissioned. They utilized an accounting firm, KPMG. Let that sit for a second for those who know different accounting firms. Glad they went with that one. They used KPMG and their internal research team to examine if we should be looking at alternative tax structures when it comes to cannabis. Right now, we use a price-based tax structure, but they looked at options such as weight-based and alternative, and the other alternative is basing taxes on THC potency and looking at what that impact has on the revenue for the state. We'll see the commission have a vote on that, but it looks like from the report they're going to vote to keep everything currently the way it is, which is approximately a 20% tax based on price. We'll also have the regular changes of ownership, changes of location, renewals, final licenses, provisional licenses. Unfortunately, in this particular batch of applications that are being reviewed, we don't have any economic empowerment applicants. However, I do believe there may be one or two social equity applicants. The majority of the applicants that are not general applicants are actually DBE applicants. Disadvantaged business enterprises, meaning these are folks who qualified for the DBE program, and as such, by having that status, they are now being expedited in the review process. One of the ways that the CCC is trying to meet this diversity mandate. Unfortunately, it ends up undercutting the focus on equity programs, particularly the economic empowerment program, and ensuring that those who have been identified and charged with empowering the community the most, because when you look at these positive impact plans, which we'll probably do a separate update on, because the positive impact plans are not getting any better at all. But yeah, the economic empowerment participants, these are the folks who have the greatest charge in terms of empowering communities that have been disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs. They've been charged with improving those the most, and they have been given the least amount of support when you look at any cohort pursuing a license in this industry. So there isn't going to be much discussion in this meeting in terms of upcoming votes and the public hearings that they're going to be having. However, at the end, they will discuss the timeline for that. Keep in mind, the end of this month, July, that's when they're going to open up public discussion and comment on some of the regulations, and we'll have a separate video. Come back, tune in, because that's going to be really important, as they spent quite a bit of time in last month's meeting talking about economic empowerment and social equity and the equity programs in Massachusetts and some of the things that changes that they're proposing to have discussions and votes on and make regulatory changes. So we want to see how that plays out, and more importantly, we want to drive the conversation around that. After that, tomorrow, the July 9th meeting that's pretty much basically the heart of it. If anything, keep an eye out and listen to how they take care or they address the enforcement actions. And I just want to clarify, it wasn't Crispies that's having an enforcement action. They're actually having a change in ownership. Enforcement action is for garden remedies, where they've not only found pesticides at their location on their products. However, they also, after conducting an audit, somebody gave them a tip that the documents that they sent to the CCC had been doctored. So the CCC had to go back, request updated documents, and they were able to verify that their facility was utilizing more than just that one pesticide, but another pesticide. And the CCC has made a recommendation to fine them. Their fine is around $200,000. The second action is enforcement action is actually against the Botanist. And many of you may have been tracking along. The Botanist has affiliation with Acreage Holdings, which is a major multi-state operator, and there were concerns as to conflicts and violations of the law with respect to the number of establishments controlled by a particular entity, and that Acreage was violating that with their relationship with the Botanist. They since recused themselves from that role and identified their role as being solely based on capital support, capital sponsorship. And so this particular enforcement action result, though, we'll have to go back into the actual report, which they give all of this information. Just FYI, if you ever have the moment, the CCC posts the outline and the information for their meetings. It's required that they do provide public documentation of their meetings. And they do provide quite a bit of extensive documents. They usually post it a couple of days before the meeting is scheduled, and you have the opportunity to go through and see what exactly is going to be on the agenda. And then for those of you who are interested in knowing what different entities that are up for provisional licenses, what they are saying about positive impact plans, you can find that in there. You want to see who's going through a change in ownership and what that implies for the company. They have details on that in these packets. So again, we're just here to give you quick updates because we recognize that, one, folks don't have time to spend 4 hours watching public government meeting, nor is it feasible to spend however long it takes an individual to go through 300 to sometimes 700 pages of documentation in preparation for that meeting. So we're just here to make sure you get highlights of what's to come, and we'll follow up with some feedback or in response or analysis of what actually transpired in the meetings and what we should be paying attention to as a community. With that, leave any comments, questions, your thoughts on the meetings, what things you're hoping to make sure the CCC is covering, and if you want to give a shout out to any of your companies that you're championing and looking to see their products or looking to see them operational, give them a shout out as well. All right, take care, talk to you soon.